Here's why I will never move to Colombia. Now, many of you may know that I have multiple homes throughout the world. I live in 3 different countries with at least temporary residency, if not permanent residency. And I'm working my way towards full citizenship in a couple of those countries. Now, with that said, there are 2 primary reasons I will never live in Colombia. And before we get into that, let me actually say that never is a very strong word. And I'm relatively young, so things could possibly change. You know, what is happening in El Salvador, what is happening in Venezuela to an extent, could certainly change my opinion on certain aspects. But there are 2 reasons that I currently would never live in Colombia. First one is the safety, which you can see right there. I just recorded a video on the safety, and I'll probably put that one up before this one. So I will put a link somewhere around this video if you want to watch that video. But in short, Colombia is not entirely safe. Everyone knows someone who has been the victim of armed robbery, if not multiple times, or multiple people who have been victims of armed robbery, especially if they've been there for any significant amount of time. And I don't know about you, but for me, I don't want to be a victim of armed robbery, and I don't want to live in a place where there's more than a 10% chance of me being the victim of an armed robbery. And I go into the crime stats and other things in the video that's probably linked around here. But the simple fact is that is just not a risk that I am willing to take. And there are certainly precautions you can take in order to insulate yourself to some extent. But I would rather not have to do those things, and I would rather be free to live my day-to-day life. So that is the first and most important reason. And that's not to say that right now Colombia is super dangerous or anything like that. It's just not the safest. And if I have somewhere that, this actually leads me into the second thing, if there's another place that is comparable and is safer, well, I'll choose that place every day of the week and twice on Sunday. You can bet your bottom dollar on that. And if I were you, I would do the same thing. And so this leads into what I just hinted at, is that there are other places that are superior for various different reasons. So this is a combination of cost of living and quality of life. So obviously, crime affects your quality of life. But for example, in the tourist hotspots or the gringo hotspots or foreigner hotspots, whatever you want to call them, El Poblado and Laureles, those places are seeing a sharp, aka dramatic increase in how much they cost, which isn't a bad thing if you are getting bang for your buck relative to other places. Now, in my opinion, you are not getting bang for your buck relative to other places because, first of all, they are more expensive than other places that are better and safer and have friendlier people. Not to say Colombians aren't friendly, but it certainly seems like some of them may be out to get you in some situations, or take advantage of you, shall I say, which is what it is, as long as you are aware of it. But, for example, in Poblado and Laureles, which are hotspots because pretty much everything's in walking distance, you're in the main, hub of the town. There's a lot of great restaurants, there's a lot of pubs, bars, nightlife, gyms, all that good stuff in that area. Now, certainly you could leave that area and get a better cost of living. But me personally, I prefer to be in those trendy spots where everything's in walking distance, and I just like being in those places. And so in other countries, For example, in Southeast Asia or even in Spain, Portugal, Greece, you can live in the trendy area for a fraction. Well, I shouldn't say a fraction, for either similar or less than what it costs in Poblado. And all of those places that I just mentioned, they have their pros and cons, but they certainly are safer than Colombia, specifically Medellin. So those are the two primary reasons that I would never live in Colombia in the modern day. Now, obviously, that is subject to change, and you can let me know your opinion down in the comments below. Am I wrong? Do you have a different experience? What has your experience been? Let's talk about it. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. And as always, peace, much love.